send that. Cool. I didn't even have my Slack notifications. Okay. So we're going to get started with the JavaScript BitCamp in a few minutes. Give people a chance to join, get comfortable. I started using Twilio to mess around with some bot stuff the other week. It was pretty cool. But then I remember I have like actual assignments I need to do, so I'm gonna wait until winter break. But it was really fun. I mean, I just spent like an hour just sending text to my phone, but playing around with like the Python wrapper and stuff, that was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
My goal is to make, so I recently got an Arduino. So my goal is to make and I got an LCD screen. So my goal is to make like a pager type thing, kind of.
Uh-huh.
I'm not old enough to actually know how pagers work, but I just want to like send a message and display it on the LCD.
That's
so
awesome.
I need to figure out how to do that, and it's really tempting to just ignore my schoolwork and do that, but I'm trying to just finish out. I have like 2 more weeks left in it.
Have you checked out the programmable SIM cards?
No.
Okay,
No,
so
I need to do that.
if you ever like to play with like hardware stuff, like I love our programmable SIM cards because I'm a hardware hobbyist. I'm really bad at it, but I really enjoy it. Because like growing up, I'm very old. So when I was coming up, like computers were not just a thing that anybody could have access to. That was like some like Star Trek next level shit. And so like the fact that now I can just go out and like buy a bunch of like random like smart LEDs and like build robots and stuff. I'm just like so excited about that. I have to try it, even though I'm really, really bad at it. And so I love the fact that we have programmable SIM cards because like any kind of microcontroller board that has a SIM card slot, you can just plug it in and now you can like program your hardware devices to like interact with like Twilio services, which is super cute. Like one of my friends built a robot when his daughter went off to college because he was just sending her like pics of their pets all the time. And he was like, oh, I'm sending a lot of pet pictures. Is that okay? And she's like, more pet pictures. And so he like built this robot that will like, if you text the robot's number, it will play a sound that all of the pets have learned means that the robot's about to dispense treats. So they'll come running. The robot dispenses treats, automatically takes a picture, and then sends it to the college student daughter.
That is the coolest thing I've ever heard.
So it's a pet selfie bot, and I love it.
That is so cool. I just recently got into this hardware stuff, and like seeing the different things people come up with is mind blowing. Actually,
it's super fun.
That sounds so cool. Now I just need a pet. Yeah.
There are so I got a subscription a million years ago to something called Creation Crate. And they're just starter hardware projects, and each one of them has all of the components you need and all of the instructions to build a super, super simple hardware project. And so like I am now to step 2 of being bad at hardware. So I no longer need that simple. So now I'm giving them away as like gifts and stuff, which is super fun. But I've recently learned that my favorite hardware company, because their documentation is outstanding, Adafruit, they now have a subscription hardware box. So now I'm like, oh, I gotta get it. I gotta get it. It's gonna be fun. So yeah, that's on my wish list for the holiday season.
I'm gonna once like when I'm done with finals and stuff, I wanna like sit down and actually learn this stuff and get good at it and get my Twilio bot running so I don't know what I'm actually gonna do with it. I just want to make it work for my own satisfaction and then come up with something to do outside of that.
Awesome.
But yeah.
If you do that, if you wanted, you could turn that into a blog post for our Twilio Voices program, and we would pay you money to post that on our blog.
Cool. I can do that. I definitely.
Just FYI.
Yeah, and I also been like trying to get more in the habit of like writing out what I'm doing with these projects. It's kind of like as a documentation for myself, but it would be pretty cool to share also. So I'm looking forward to that during my winter break.
Yay.
Yeah. We can get started with this stream. I'll introduce myself and then give you a minute to introduce yourself. So my name is Danae Payne. I am a junior computer science major at Howard University in Washington, D.C. currently at home in Maryland because Corona, you know. I started working with Bit Project this semester to create a chapter at Howard, and this is the third event that I'm involved in. Our first event was a really cool LinkedIn workshop. Got to like make our profiles look nice and appealing to recruiters and stuff. It was super cool. Learned a lot. We did a data science fit camp a couple weeks ago, so that was really fun. Learned a lot about Python and NumPy and pandas. And then now this week we are starting our JavaScript fit camp with Twilio. So feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Margaret, and I work at Twilio. I work on the Twilio Quest educational video game where we try to break down some of the intimidation factor in learning new tech skills, because that is so often what is people's blocker in learning cool stuff that they want to know how to do is they just get intimidated and walk away. But in a really cool 8-bit style retro video game, it's kind of hard to get intimidated because it's obviously so goofy. And that helps a lot just to realize that all things are a process of learning, and as long as you keep at it, you can learn anything that you want to know, including tech things. It is not a special category. It is just another kind of learning. So I have been writing code for funsies for a very, very long time, and I've been writing code for money for about 20 years now. So I am here to help you if you would like help with tech things and also Twilio Quest things, because that's kind of my jam right now.
Yeah, so during the stream, we'll be monitoring the chat, so feel free to drop questions if I need to go over anything again. Feel free to say that in the chat. If I'm going too fast, tell me to slow down, anything in the chat. So first we'll get started with setting up our Twilio Quest and our environment. For now, I will share my screen and we can just get started with Twilio Quest. So have it on my desktop right here. Sorry, that just
Infinite
went crazy. Okay. I will do the desktop and put that there. Cool. So we can start. Twilio Quest is ready for launch. Let's do that. For now, we can just start with Twilio Quest, and then once we need to set up our coding environment, I will minimize Twilio Quest and get into that.
So, fun fact, on Tuesday mornings, or well, Tuesday mornings on the West Coast where I live, we do a Twilio Quest Tuesdays live stream, and tomorrow, and actually every other week, our lead developer on Twilio Quest shows you how the game is made. So if that interests you, tune in to the Twilio Quest Twitch channel every Tuesday and learn how we make cool stuff. I did a promo.
And what time did you say again?
It is 9 a.m. Pacific time.
9 a.m. Pacific. Got it. 9 a.m.
And every other week it is a developer stream, and then once a month one of our champions just plays Twilio Quest and live streams it and talks about it, and then once a month it's just me hanging out and talking to developers. We call it the hallway track stream.
Got it. Cool. So we'll start off with our basic training exercise. I went through a couple of these quests, but for the sake of this stream, I erased all my game data. It hurt me, but I did it for you guys. We have Cedric, our nice robot man over here. So we have to clear the final barrier of the basic training exercise in order to unlock some more training missions. So I'll navigate over here to this cool potty, and we have a bunch of training missions. So I'll select basic training. So we're going to equip ourselves with the skills and knowledge you will need to safely explore the cloud. Your journey as an operator starts here. Let's launch that mission. Cool. And then I would definitely recommend talking to each of these robots that you see because it is very, very useful information. So let's see. Where am I? What is this place? This is a virtual environment like many others you will explore in the cloud. It has been designed to train you in the key skills required to navigate virtual worlds. So then we can ask, how do I complete this training exercise? To complete this training exercise, you must reach the exit area located north of our current location. The exit area is marked by a green and black metallic floor. So we have to bypass several security barriers. Barriers like the ones in this area are designed to simulate countermeasures deployed by the legacy systems. These villains will stop at nothing to obstruct operators deployed in the field. So let's see, how do I defeat the security on these barriers? To bypass the security of barriers or containers, approach them and press the spacebar. This will launch a hacking interface that you will use to break the lock. A hack attempt usually requires completing a puzzle or a programming challenge of some kind. So if you want to return to the fog aisle before you finish, you may return at any time by walking to the entry point of an environment. These entry points are marked by a red and black metallic floor, and after crossing into this area, you will be instantly transported back into the ship. So we can end this conversation. So this is what they're referring to right here to get back to the previous area. And we can press spacebar to look at our first hacking exercise. So we'll learn to use the hacking interface to bypass the security of a lock barrier. Click the button below to continue. So we have 3 tabs: our overview, objective, and help. So our objective for this one, it says the objective tab will describe a task you must complete in order to hack the barrier. After completing the task as described, click the hack button over here to verify your work. So in this one, you have to enter a passphrase in the text field above the hack button right here. And to get the passphrase, we'll click on the help button up here. In the objective tab, it said that you will need to enter a passphrase in the text field. Spoiler alert, the passphrase is level up. So there's some more documentation on our loot and our experience points that you'll get every time you complete one of these objectives, and returning to the previous task. And here we have a code that you need for the chest in the southwest corner of this area. So I'm going to cheat a little bit, copy that. For now, I will type level up here, hack, boom, we got it. So we got some experience points for completing this objective, and we want to try to earn as many experience points as possible. So once we've done that, we can move on to this chest here. Ooh. Okay, so on this journey, you will encounter locked containers like this one. Unlocking them is not strictly necessary to make progress, but completing these challenges will award additional experience points and items. Ooh. So this one, straightforward. Click the hack button to receive our item. I got some armor. Awesome. So now we have another objective. The hacking tool provides an integrated code editor and example JavaScript code for some challenges. Please note that this is only provided as a convenience, and you may use the programming tools and language of your choice to complete any challenge unless otherwise instructed. So we can set up our own code editor a little bit later. So for now, we'll use the built-in code editor to complete one of these challenges. So using the integrated code editor, we're going to create a simple web application. The code you need will already be present in the editor, and to begin, we'll just click Show Code Editor button on the right. We'll press the play button to execute the code and start the application. If you make no changes to the example code, the application will be available. This link here, localhost 8767, with the application running, paste this URL into the text field on the right, and click hack. So first, we want to show our code editor, and this is going to create a nice little HTTP server. And we want to.
One thing I will point out about the built-in code editor, because it's not necessarily super obvious, and it caught me out when I was first becoming oriented in the UI, is that if you pick the trash can button, it does not throw away all of the content in the code editor. It just resets it to where it started. So if you mess around and you're like, oh wait, this went wrong, where did I start? You can just click that button to get right back to the example code so that you can try again if you have gone awry.
Cool, thank you so much. That is actually very helpful. Very helpful information, because I definitely thought that would clear it out. So we pasted our link, and this is just a quick little thing about Twilio APIs. That's kind of beyond the scope of this BitCamp, so we won't be covering it. But if you're curious about APIs, definitely feel free to do some research, reach out to your mentors. They will help you exploring more about the Twilio API. And so I believe this area over here requires creating a Twilio account to explore the API, but we're going to move on to this section. And this one is just some true or false questions. So we can look through this and answer these questions. So in Twilio Quest, you'll be writing code in a variety of programming languages, and you'll learn to install and use the tools software development professionals use every day. Our code can do powerful things, which is why we're excited to share it with you. You should be aware that code can do harmful things to your computer if you're not careful. You might execute code that does something to your computer you did not intend, like delete files or change configuration settings. It's even possible that unscrupulous individuals on the internet may attempt to trick you into running code that can harm your computer or steal your personal data. That is true. I'm in cybersecurity right now. I can confirm. Hackers will hack. So when running code on your computer, it's important to remember the following. There's no undo button when you run code. Make sure you know what your code is going to do before you run it. Only use code from sources that you trust or code that you fully understand. And if you're confused or concerned about what your code will do, ask a teacher or a mentor for help. So we're just going to answer these true or false questions on the right and click hack to move on to the next part. So code executing on your computer is not able to make changes to your computer or access your personal information. It's very false. Copying and pasting code from the internet can be dangerous. If you don't know what a piece of code does, you should ask a trusted person for guidance before you use it. That's very true. So we hacked that. We got 200 XP and we completed our basic training exercise. So we can go to the exit area and begin our next mission. And I got an operator helmet. I love that. So we will navigate back to the beginning. My computer is definitely a little slow right now. They move faster than this. So here is where we're gonna set up our environment, I believe now. So it says, congratulations on successfully completing the basic training exercise. Our faith in your abilities was well-founded. If you return to the VR pods, that's these cool pods over here, you'll see that more training exercises have been unlocked in the mission computer. Complete as many of these challenges as you can to continue your operator training. So I'll navigate over to my pod and we'll check out the JavaScript test lab. So let's launch that mission and let's get started. Let's talk to this guy. So I am pleased you have come to observe our work at the JavaScript test lab. TwilioQuest scientists are making significant progress unlocking the potential of the JavaScript programming language. So let's ask, what can I learn about JavaScript at the lab? Navigating this laboratory will require that you become familiar with the JavaScript programming languages. In doing so, you will also install the Node.js JavaScript runtime on your computer, enabling you to write and execute JavaScript code. So TwilioQuest provides a lot of awesome links, documentation, whatever you need. Whenever you click the help tab, there's tons of information there. So when we click Node.js, it'll take you to the website in order to install Node.js for whatever computer you're using. I have a Mac, I already have it installed, but for future reference, if you need to install Node.js, this initial quest for the JavaScript quest will provide that link here. So,
and I will mention that the help tab on all of the missions attempts to serve you in this way. Our philosophy around the help is we provide some loose prose just to orient you, and then we try to link out to existing resources because those are the resources that you're going to be leaning on for the rest of your code writing career. So it's we're just trying to orient you around what resources are available to you out in the world through the help tab. So be sure to check out that help tab. And also, if you find better resources than we include, we want to learn about those. We want to add them in. So feel free to give us feedback. Thank you.
They're definitely great with the providing resources and links. It's important to learn how to read documentation for sure. So we'll look at this and it says, presently our research team is studying the energy producing properties of ductium, I think. A newly discovered element that we believe is the source of JavaScript's power. Proceed through the security barriers on the right to examine our research data yourself. Cool. But they're blocking us. Let's see why. The JavaScript test lab requires all personnel to have a Node.js JavaScript runtime installed before proceeding into the lab. So I've already installed Node.js. So, where's my path? Pasting the full path. Okay. So help tab.
in the field, we always you see the field that over the hack button, it gives you some example text, and we always put in our best guess as to what the answer will be with this path stuff. But the thing is that different people's setups are different, people's operating systems are different, so that's not always going to be exactly right. It's just sort of a hint to give you a vague idea of what kind of answer you're looking for.
So I am not sure the exact path for my computer, so I will open up terminal, and our help tab has told us that if we run the command which node, it will give us the full path to the node runtime. So I'll go ahead and run that, and it actually is the exact same one here, but it doesn't hurt to make sure. So I'll go ahead and copy and paste that. And that is my path to my Node.js.
One thing that has caught people out, specifically in the PHP mission, which I'm super familiar with because I wrote it, is that it's depending on whether you are on Mac or Linux or Windows, you might have to have an extension versus not an extension. And so it's important to keep an eye out for what your specific setup is when figuring out what exactly you need to put in those boxes.
Thank you.
On Windows, it probably needs to end in .exe, or the other thing that presents a problem with Windows paths is sometimes Windows paths have folder names that have a space in them, and when you run a command that has a space in a path, it does not recognize that as a single path because it interprets the space as being you declaring that it's the end of the path. So in one of the help, there's a quick link to this, but basically there's a great Stack Overflow post around like different ways that you can escape your path so that the string isn't interpreted as ending at that space point. So yeah, those are the two big gotchas on Windows machines. Maybe you need .exe, and maybe you need to surround your path with an indication that it's a solid string because it's got a space in the middle.
So Twilio Quest definitely has a lot of information in the help section, but if you're still having a little trouble setting up the environment or a little confused, feel free to drop questions in the Slack after the stream or any questions during the stream. So now this is where we're going to create a folder on our computer where the JavaScript code will reside. I'm going to create my folder using Terminal. You can definitely go into your file explorer and do it there, but this is just the approach I have so I can get my path and easily copy and paste that. So if you use the ls command, it'll give you all your folders and files in the directory that you're in. And I have a folder called bit project that I already made. So I use the cd command to change the directory to bit project. As you can see here, it says that. And I'm going to make a new directory called Twilio Quest. So I'll use the make directory command, mkdir, and I will name that Twilio Quest, and I will change into that directory. So that is the folder where I'm going to save all of my JavaScript files for the rest of these quests. And if I use the command pwd print working directory, it'll give me the path for that, and I'll just copy and paste that. So this is just asking for the full path to the folder where you want to keep all your Twilio Quest JavaScript code. You can name it whatever you would like, just for the sake of the organization of my computer. I have it in a Twilio Quest folder in my bit project folder. We completed that, and now we're able to get through to this next part. This one's fun. Spoiler alert, I did these already, but I'll do it again because it was fun. So we have a scientist here. Hi there. You must be the operator sent to observe our research. You've come at an exciting time. We're months away from stabilizing a single molecule of ductapenium for the first time in history, though there is currently a small, almost insignificant snag in the testing process. Let's see what happens. We need to activate all 4 of the molecular stasis beams in the center of the room to stabilize the ductapenium. The process is fully automated, but it does require a password, which our dear scientist here has forgotten. So let's ask if there's any way to reset the password. There is, but I'll never hear the end of it around the lab if word gets out that I forgot the stasis beam password again. I actually wrote it down on a piece of paper in my office down the passage behind me. But you're still standing out here, so I might assume I also managed to trigger all the security barriers leading to my office when I went in to retrieve the password. Don't judge me. I'm a very busy scientist. You're not judging me, are you? We're not going to judge the scientist. We're just going to go to the office, retrieve the password. Cool. It's written on a piece of paper on the desk. So right behind the scientist, we have another security measure. We're going to execute our first JavaScript program to get past this barrier. So our objective, what's the magic word? You examine the barrier and determine that it can only be unlocked by the JavaScript Lab's IT department. You call up IT and speak with a technician named Glenn. Glenn reluctantly agrees to deactivate the barrier on one condition. You must ask him nicely. Like that. So we're going to write a JavaScript program that nicely asks Glenn to open the barrier. So we're going to create a new JavaScript file called sayplease.js in the folder that we created earlier. Inside this sayplease JavaScript file, we're going to copy in the following line of JavaScript code. So since we set up the path for our folder, once we create and save this file and we click hack, TotalQuest has access to that file and it'll tell you if you completed the objective correctly. So the code editor that I'll be using is VS Code. And I want to go into my terminal. This command code will just open up VS Code, or yeah, okay, thank you, that worked. So open up VS Code. You can use whatever code editor you like. This is just the one I have, the one I like to use. So I'll create a new file, and we need to name this one. Oh, wrong folder. Okay, we need to name this sayplease.js. That was the correct name, right? Yes. And then we'll just copy in the following line. So this one's pretty straightforward. We'll copy and paste that and save it. So this will just print out this string here. Glenn, will you please open the barrier? And if you want to test your code, you can do node and then the name of your file. And here it is. Glenn, will you please open the barrier? So since we gave TotalQuest access to that folder, once we click hack, it'll read that file and clear our objective. So now we can get to the office. Not yet, another barrier. So here we're going to learn how to declare variables in JavaScript so we can get past this next barrier. We're going to override the security settings here. We have another barrier blocking access to the lead scientist's office. After some investigation, you find out that it's configured with JavaScript code that locks the laser fence in the on position. To drop the barrier, you need to override this configuration with your own JavaScript code. We're going to create a file called laser configuration in your code folder, and inside this file, we'll declare a variable with the name laser status and set it to the string value off. And again, we'll click the hack button once we've completed that. We have also a quick to-do list if you need a refresher on the objective, and the help tab goes more in depth about creating variables in JavaScript. So they provide a ton of useful links at the bottom if you want to do more research and do more reading on JavaScript variables, and they give you a hint. The hint won't give you the exact answer, but it'll lead you in the right direction. So for this one, I will go back into my code editor and create a new file, and I'll save it now as laser configuration.js. And what we want to do is create a variable. So we use the keyword const, and it'll be called laser status, and we want to set it equal to off. It's very secure if you ask me. And we need a semicolon. And then we can do console.log, and we can log our variable. So let's test that out in our terminal. Laser configuration. That's a hard word to spell, sorry. And it prints the string off. So we can see that our code is working here. Go back to Twilio Quest, hack, boom, we did it. We're in the office. Okay, I thought we were in the office. There's another barrier. I'm sorry. Let's check this one out. So we were going to write code that uses data passed in via command line arguments. So here we have another objective. Beyond this barrier, you can see a stack of papers on the lead scientist's desk that must contain the password you are searching for. Again, very secure. You're close to the key piece of information you need to help the scientist. You quickly find the malfunction that has caused this barrier to remain closed. A script is missing that performs a key mathematical calculation. We're going to create a file called divide by 2 in our code folder. And unlike the other scripts we just made, this one has to take in a command line argument when you execute it. So like how I typed node and then the name of our file, this one takes an argument for our code. Our script will take the number that we passed in, divided by 2, and then print the result using console.log. So this one's a bit harder, so they have example code in the help tab that you can use as a starting point. So it basically goes over what I just said about running our programs using this command, but now we have to pass in arguments. So we have a special list called process.argv, and that is how we take whatever we type in after the name of our file, pass it into our code as an argument, and do whatever mathematical calculations we need to with that. So this is the code that they provide as a starting point for this objective. We create a variable called argument value, and then we take our argument from the command line. We need to convert that into a numeric value, so we use another variable called number value and convert it to a number using the number keyword. And then we'll create another variable called result, do a simple divide by 2, and then console.log whatever number we want to pass in. So you need to finish the line of code below. How would you print out the result to the terminal window without hard coding the number 2? So I'll make that file and we can work on that. So come on, I'll just close these to make a new file. I'll save that now as divide by 2.js. And again, we want to create our first variable called the argument value, which will take in whatever argument we pass in through the command line. So we'll use the processes.e, and then we want 2 because it'll be our second argument. And then we want to create another variable called our number value because this is a very important step. We need to convert our argument that we just took in to an actual number so we can do math. And then we want our result. So our result will just be our number value divided by 2. Cool. And then right now we want to do console.log, and I want to print my result. So now when I save this and open up my terminal, sorry, I have to change it to that folder again. When I save that and open up my terminal, now I can run this code using our node and the name of our file again. But I can also pass in a number that I want to divide by 2. For example, if I pass in 400, it'll give us 200 right here. I can call it again with another number, 250, and it'll give us 125. So as we can see, we tested our code, it's working. So we can go back to our Twilio quest, hack, cool, objective clear, got 200 XP. So now we can finally get to the office and get this password. I bet it's the most secure password in the world. Okay, written on the sticky note on her desk, Stacy's Beam password, pew, pew, pew. Very, very secure. So now we will navigate back over to this beam and enter our laser activation password. that we just did all that work together. Cool. So the stasis beam flashes to life and the experiment begins. Wait, what's that rumbling noise? I think, yeah, we just blew up the lab. We just blew a hole into the lab. That's fun. Let's talk to the scientists and see what's all about. This is bad, really quite bad. So half the lab is missing and everything is on fire. What happened? So the deuterium crystal destabilized after we turned on the fourth beam, but that shouldn't have been possible. Our calculations were perfect. Technically, parts of the lab aren't missing. They just transitioned to a previously undiscovered fifth phase of matter outside our space-time continuum. As for the fires, that part is still pretty bad. So yeah, this is a good question. What happened to the other scientists that were inside the test chamber? They were as of a few minutes after the accident. Right now, I can't be sure. We've lost all communications in the lab. We should assume my colleagues are stranded in other areas of the facility. So we need to find them and get them off to safety. From what I can tell, the explosion created a dimensional rift that is expanding by the minute. Unless we can reverse the experiment and mend the rift, nowhere in the cloud will be safe. Okay, so reverse the experiment. How do we go about doing that? I think I know how to adjust the stabilizer beams to reverse the reaction, but in order to do that, we'll need to reactivate all 4 beams. And I won't be able to do that myself. My colleagues have the activation codes for the other lasers. So we're going to get these activation codes. I still need some time to calibrate the equipment for the reversal attempt. Let me know when you have found my colleagues and collected their activation codes. We can still fix this if we move quickly. This is exciting stuff. Let's look over here. So we're going to use the botanist activation code and your knowledge of Boolean logic to enable this stasis beam. So I think, hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry. I moved a little too quick. We're going to start with this one. So we're going to enable this beam. Oh, no, sorry. We have to enable the other 3. Okay, getting too ahead of myself. So let's start with this one. You examine the controls of this stasis beam, but they're currently locked down. You'll need the botanist access code in order to enable this laser. The botanist is most likely in the lab's south wing, where they have previously been studying the effect of TPM on plant life. So now we need to get over there by deactivating these security lasers. So this is where we're going to learn how to create a function, which is a reusable chunk of JavaScript code in order to get through this lab. The fun in function. All right, awesome. So amid the destruction of the accident, you notice a new security barrier blocking off the interior wings of the lab. You examine the security of this barrier and realize that it is powered by a JavaScript function that determines if the barrier's lasers are on or off. We need to override this function to disable the laser barrier. So we're going to create a file called laser function in our code folder, and inside this file, we're going to create a JavaScript function called getLaserSetting. And this function will return a string object with the value of off. So again, TulioQuest has tons of links, tons of documentation. So click here, it'll tell you how to, it'll bring you to the Mozilla website to learn about functions. Click here, it'll take you to the Mozilla website to learn about strings. There's tons of documentation to read. And then the help tab also has a lot of information, more useful links at the bottom. So the goal of this exercise here is to learn how to create a function in JavaScript. We're going to create a file laser function. It just reminds you where your code folder is in case you close game, come back, need a refresher. And it gives you some starter code. So this code already has a function defined, but it's returning the wrong value. Right now, this is returning a value 42 when we need it to return a string. And we need the string to be off so that our beam will turn off. So I will go back into my code editor, create a new file, and name that laser function.js. Cool. And we'll start by creating a function. So we use the keyword function, get laser setting, and we need our open bracket. So inside of this function, we want our variable called setting, and we need that to be off so we can get through this laser. And we want to return our setting variable. So that's pretty straightforward. And at the end, we want to create a variable called current setting, which we will call the function we just created here. There'll be no parameters passed in, so we can just save that. And then we want to do console.log, and we just want to print out simple string. The current setting is, and then we'll just do plus and add that variable here. So when we print that out, it'll put on a string saying the current setting is, and then whatever our variable or whatever our function returns. So we can open up our terminal again. Sorry, I need to stop closing terminal. We'll open up our terminal and we will run this code. So I'll do node laser function. As you can see, the current setting is off. So now we can go back into ToolioQuest. Once we click hack, we get success. You successfully override the laser command function and gain access to the rest of the lab. Or so we thought. There's another sensor. So now we're going to create a function that accepts arguments so that our usable bits of code can produce different results with different inputs. All right, let's look at this. The security barrier is also malfunctioning, and before long, you can see why. Your old pal Glenn in IT has configured this security barrier to only shut down if that's nicely. Not Glenn. So to clear this barrier, we'll need to write a function that takes arguments, also called parameters, and execute some basic Boolean logic. So again, please explore ToolioQuest and the awesome documentation and links they provide. Again, well, we looked at functions already, but this page on Boolean logic is super helpful, especially if you're new to coding. If you've been coding for a while, you're probably already familiar with Boolean stuff, but these links are super helpful for people who need an introduction, people who need a refresher, so please feel free to check those out. And then we can read the help section for more information on function arguments. Also, if you need help on using Boolean logic, you may want to conquer the challenges of the lab Southwind first. So for the stream, this is the order I'm doing it in, but when you're doing ToolioQuest on your own, feel free to explore it in whatever way you want. Feel free to ask questions in the Slack about anything you see on ToolioQuest. Just have fun exploring the game. So we want to bring down this barrier. It's powered by a JavaScript function that determines if the barrier's lasers are on or off. We'll need to override this function to disable the laser barrier. So we're going to create a new file called polite lasers in our code folder, and we're going to create a new function called getLaserSetting, just as we did in the last challenge. But this time, our function must return a different value based on the first argument of the laser function setting. If the first argument is a string please, we'll turn it off, or we'll return off. If the first argument is anything else, we'll return on. So we'll also have to use if and else statements in this challenge, which if you are not familiar with, you can definitely do some research on that or ask questions for any of us. It gives you starter code again, but it doesn't yet complete the objective. So it gives you hints on what the magic word is here and what should this be when you return something. So we can go back to our code editor and I'll create a new file again. This one will be called polite lasers.js. And the same way we did in our last one, we want to create our function using the keyword function and get laser setting as a name. But instead of this being empty, we need to pass in a parameter, and we'll call that magic word. So now we want to use an if statement to see if our magic word is the magic word that we need. So we'll check if magic word is equal to the string please, then we want to return off. We got our magic word, the beam will turn off. If not, if it's anything else, we want to return on. It'll stay on unless we have the correct magic word. So now we can get another variable, same as the last one, called current setting. Set it equal to our get laser setting, and we'll even we'll pass in the string please here. Oops, typo. And when we do console.log here in our current setting, we can test that out.
I don't know if that's an optical illusion or not, but it looks like you've got minus minus instead of equals equals.
It's equals. Sorry if my text might be tiny or something.
Good. Optical.
Yeah, so we can call our run our code here, and we get off because we have a magic word for Mr. Glenn in IT. So now once we click hack, with a heavy sigh, you once again place a Glenn and create a function that drops the laser barrier when asked for lightly. So now we can move further into the lab. These security lasers. What's over here? Okay. This is new. I have not yet been over here, so I just want to look around. Okay, nothing up there, but let's check it out. Arrays. Okay, I don't think going into arrays was a objective for this week, so I don't want to start this yet, but definitely feel free to check that out. I just don't want to go past what we had planned for this week, just in case people still have questions about the stuff that we started today. This is going into objects and data types. Let's just click around. Let's look around. Loops and iteration. So I think for now we can wrap up the Twilio Quest stuff, and then next week we can get more into like the arrays and stuff. So
Do you want to check out the settings and equip some of your awesome loot?
Yes, I do. Where's the inventory? Cool. Oh, look at my hair. Let's look at my armor. Helmet. Okay. How do I do this? Body. Oh, so I have a t-shirt and then this is my armor. Okay. I want to keep my armor, but I want to show off my cool hair. So let's check out these boots. What else do I have? Grease. Okay. I like this fit.
There's a lot of random loot that you can pick up throughout the game, including like wacky stuff like pets and things. They don't do anything, they're just fun. And sometimes when we host events, there will be special loot just for that event that just kind of shows off that you got to
definitely need
participate.
to I'm still hurt that I erased all my game data, but it's okay. I'm gonna keep going through this throughout the week. So next time we have a stream, I might have some more things completed, but hopefully everyone gets a chance to explore this on their own and make some more progress than I have. So we can wrap up with the Twilio Quest stuff here, and we can take a look at the GitHub. So I'll pull that up really quickly because that is important. So for the homework for this week, we'll send that in the Slack a little bit later, but everyone should have access to the to the GitHub in the Slack. If you need it again, feel free to message me if you don't have access to it. And I'll share my screen really quickly so we can look at that. Cool. So we have our repo here, goes into what the Bitcamp is covering. It goes over our objectives for each week, homework for each week. As you can see, week 2 goes into strings, arrays, and functions, which is why I didn't want to, there's a Twilio quest for that just yet. Didn't want to get too ahead of myself. But today we set up our environment. We went over the components such as Twilio quest, JavaScript, our code editor, and then we did our few quests. So the homework for this week will involve the BizBuzz problem. And BizBuzz is, let's see if I can remember off the top of my head. If a number is a multiple of 3 and 5, you want to print FizzBuzz. If it's just a multiple of 3 and not 5, print Fizz. If it's just a multiple of 5 and not 3, print Buzz. And then if it's neither, then just return a number. I think might have been flipped around somewhere there, but that's the gist of it. And if you look, we have each week's folders, so we'll be putting the live stream in the folders for future reference. We have I will also put the code that we went over in this live stream also for future reference. Everyone should definitely try to do it themselves, but of course, if you get stuck, ask a question in the Slack or feel free to check out the GitHub. And yeah, we will send more details out about the homework in the Slack a little later because they're still updating some things. But other than that, I think we're good for today's stream. So yeah, I just want to say thank you to Margaret for joining us this week. Really excited.
It's my pleasure, and I will be back every week, every single week. You will get so tired of me because I'm going to be here. It's going to be great.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining. I hope everyone gets a chance to explore Twilio Quest after the stream and throughout the week. We will be sending out more information about the mentors. Everyone will be assigned to a Twilio mentor to work with throughout the next few weeks. Talk about your final project in a few weeks and ask other questions about whatever you can think of, whether that be Twilio Quest, what it's like being an engineer at Twilio. They're here to help you, work with you, so please do not hesitate to reach out once we get everyone in contact with each other. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining today, and thank you, Margaret. I'll see you all next week. Thank you.